Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be upgrading this 2015 Acer all-in-one computer. Okay then guys, so this here is an Acer ZC-700. It's an all-in-one computer, which means you don't have a tower. I like to say they're basically a laptop that isn't portable. So I've just supplied a customer with a new computer and they wanted me to dispose of this one for them. So I've taken it away with me and I've realized it's in really good condition. So before I go ahead and throw it straight in the bin, I just thought I would check it out, see what spec it is, and see if there's anything we can do upgrade-wise to make it better and potentially usable for something. So I have repaired one of these in the past. In that one, I believe it had a dead drive, and so I just replaced it with an SSD and they were back up and running again. So we are going to take it apart and have a look. So it is a 2015 computer, and so I'm going to assume it's got a regular hard drive in it, not an SSD. And I'm also going to guess it's either got 2 or 4 gigabytes of RAM. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on, just go into the BIOS screen and just take a look at what it says there. So if I just turn it on, and we just want to keep pressing the delete key. And as you can see there, it's now booted all the way up into the BIOS. And so the first bit of information we've got there is the processor. It's an Intel Celeron N3150, 1.6 gigahertz. So not the fastest CPU on the market for sure. And also there, as it says, memory is 4096 megabytes. So that's 4 gig of RAM. So sometimes on this BIOS screen, you will also be able to see the hard drive size, but as you can see there, it doesn't say that. So let's just go ahead and get this opened up. Now the first thing you need to do is actually turn it on, and I would advise you just get yourself to here, the BIOS screen. And once you're there, you just want to find the button for the CD drive and you just want to press it. Just so that it opens like so and you've got access to it like that. So once you've done that, you can just go ahead and press the button at the bottom, which will then turn the computer off. So once you've done that, the next thing you want to do is you want to unplug everything and you want to turn the computer around so that it's sitting on its screen flat on the desk. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to unplug everything and do just that, and I'll rejoin you when we're looking at it from the top and we can get on with taking it apart. Okay then guys, so here we are with the computer face down. I recommend that you use a mat or a cloth or something like I have here, just so that you don't scratch the screen or do any damage. So once you've got to this stage, you should still have your CD drive just loose here poking out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this CD drive fascia here. The way to do that is there is a clip just here, as you can see, just there, just shining. And when you put pressure on that, it should release it and you should be able just to wiggle it off and wiggle it from there. So we'll just go ahead and do that first. And there you go. So the two clips are there and there. Obviously we've pushed on that one, and the moment we've actually released that one, this one's kind of just popped out. So once you've done that, you can just push your CD drive back in and it will click like that. So next thing you want to do is you want to remove this plastic panel here, and as you'll see on yours, there's 2 lips either side under here, and you should just be able to get something like a plastic pry tool and just get underneath the lip. So if I just do that, as you can see, once you get under the lip, you can then go around with your pry tool and it should just continue to pop up like mine is. If you wiggle it around, it will help as you go around. And once you've got it free, it should just come off like that. As you can see there are 4 screws that have now become exposed. So we'll just go and unscrew those. Okay, and once all 4 of those screws are actually removed, you should just be able to carefully lift the base up slightly, like that, and then slide it down, and then it should just come away like so. So now that we've done that, there is just 3 screws across the bottom here, 1, 2 and 3. So we're just going to go ahead and remove those. Okay, so now we've removed those, it's just a case of separating this black back panel from the front of the computer. So the easiest way to do that is to just get something like a plastic pry tool and get between the black frame and the silver frame. So I actually find the best place to start is on this side. So we just try and get under this corner here, as you can see there with the plastic pry tool. should just be able to go around lifting up like so, and it has actually popped open quite a bit there for me at the bottom, so I'm just going to continue to go around. You can see it's popping off as I go around, and there we go. And actually it's very loose now, so I'm just going to carefully lift it up with my hands around the side, pick it up there, and there we go. It should come away like so. So straight away what we can see here is where the CD drive is mounted and how it's connected. So if you were to replace the CD drive, looks like all you would have to do is unplug those two cables, remove that screw, and then it should just slide out, and that would be that. And I can also see that the hard disk is located there. Can't actually tell from here if it's a hard drive or an SSD at this stage, so I am going to unplug it and remove it, so we'll do that first. So all you need to do to begin is to just remove these two cables, just pull on them like so, and that's that. Next, there is a screw at the back here, so we just remove that one. Okay, and so we just slide it that way, following that arrow. And then you should just be able to pick it up. And as you can see there, guys, it is a standard hard drive, not a solid state drive, so we will be replacing that. So to remove it from this, we just need to remove these screws, so let's do that. Okay, so with the screws removed, it's just going to come straight out of this enclosure. And as you can see there, it's a 500GB Western Digital Blue, so we'll put that to one side. And the drive I'm going to be replacing it with is this Crucial, which if you watched my previous video on doing the SSD upgrade for the Xbox 360, this is the drive that didn't work, so you may as well do some good with it still and use it for this. So looking at this again, so it goes in that way, and as you can see, you have the small connector on top and the big connector on the bottom. So based off of that, if you look at the SSD connectors, it's got to sit that way. So with that like that, you just want to put it in that way. We now want to reinsert the screws, just carefully line them up there and reinsert them. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so with all the screws reinserted, it should look something like that. So we just want to reinstall the enclosure now onto the system. So if we just drop it down, just this side of all four of these slots here, we should just be able to push it down and slot it back in like so. So that should be nice and firm. So we'll just replace that one retention screw there at the back. And then we just want to reconnect the cables. So the bottom one there, like so, and the top one there, just like that. So if you were just doing an SSD upgrade on this, you could skip to the part where I reassemble it. But if you want to do the RAM or you want to reapply the thermal paste, then we'll continue with the disassembly. The other thing is, if you wanted to just clean the fan out, obviously you've got access to it here and also the heatsink, so you can just do that from this stage. So to continue with the disassembly, we just want to remove this plate here, and it involves removing all of these screws, making sure not to forget that one in there, as well as this one here. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. Okay, so once you've removed all those screws and you're sure that you've got every single one, you should just be able to lift this plate off. So if I just get my finger under there and just lift, you do kind of want to push it in this direction a little bit just so that it unhooks from these ports here. So if I just do that, as you can see, it's almost like opening a book. Okay, and so from this point you can actually replace quite a lot of things because we get access to a lot of the connectors, as well as the wireless card, the RAM, the CMOS battery, and also pretty much everywhere else where everything connects. Now, one thing I am pretty interested about is the fact that I can see that the 4GB RAM configuration is actually a single stick of 4GB. Now that's fairly naughty on Acer's part there. So what they should have done there is they should have done 2 sticks of 2GB. But on the plus side for us, I do actually have a spare stick of 4GB RAM. So we are going to very easily make this an 8GB RAM system. So here's the spare RAM stick that I have here. So that's a 12800S stick that we have there, 1R×8 PC3L, and this is actually identical. So as you can see there, 12800S, 1R×8, 4GB. So that's ideal for this. So what they've actually done is they've actually put the RAM in the second slot there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to remove this one first. So you just put your fingers either side of the slot and pull out, and as you can see, the RAM sticks up there, and we can just remove that. And then we're just going to take over our 4GB stick there, stick it into the first slot underneath, just like so. Push it back, and it clicks like that. And then we're just going to return the original RAM on top there. Perfect. So we've now upgraded the RAM to 8GB. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reapply the thermal paste on this. So there is a chance that this actually doesn't have paste and it just has a thermal pad. I do know they used to do that a lot with the lower performance processors because they don't really get too hot and they don't really struggle from overheating because they're just not powerful enough to generate that level of heat. However, regardless of whether it's a pad or not, I do want to put some proper paste on it instead, just because long term it will be better. So to remove the heatsink, it looks like we just have a screw there and also the 4 screws holding the heatsink down on top of the processor. So we'll just go ahead and remove those. Okay, and so the screws on the motherboard side, they do actually have a retaining caliper on the other side, so they won't actually come loose, but you will be able to unscrew them so that you can move the heatsink away. So now that I've done that, I should just be able to pick this up and lift it away. So as you can see, they did actually use paste and it wasn't a thermal pad, but that's all good because I'm going to be reapplying some good paste. I'm also going to be cleaning out this heatsink because it does have a bit of dust on the inside. I'm just going to go ahead and blow the dust off the heatsink, and then I'll come back and we can get some new paste applied to this. Okay, so now the heatsink, as you can see there, is nice and clean. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean off the old paste from the heatsink side first. You just want to get a clean cloth just to get the existing paste off of there. So if I just go ahead and do that. So it did just crumble straight off, and I did expect that because it is 10 years old at this point, which is crazy to think that 2015 was 10 years ago, but here we are. So that's it off of the heatsink side. What I do tend to do, regardless of how well it's come off, is to just get some isopropyl alcohol, just get a bit on the end of your cloth there, just do one last round on the surface just to make sure that you've cleaned it off thoroughly. The cleaner the surface is at this point, the more effective that the paste will be at transferring the heat. So I'm happy with that. So now we want to do the board side. So again, get your cloth in there, clean it off as best you can, and then the same again with the isopropyl alcohol. Just give it one last go around with that on top. Okay, that looks great. So next you want to bring over your thermal paste. I'm going to be using this Arctic MX6. So if I just take the lid off, and you don't want to go too crazy, especially on this sort of processor because it is tiny. So we'll just put sort of a pea size on there, and that'll do. So if I just put some on, as you can see, that bit that I've put there is more than enough. Move it to the center a little bit, but that's absolutely fine. So what you ideally want to do is you want to put this on as smoothly as possible. You don't really want to pick it up again once you've put it down and once you've put the screws in. So just make sure everything's prepared, everything's ready, and then once you're happy everything is okay, you just want to put it down in position roughly, and then you want to get your screws lined up and just start to screw them in. I normally do a bit at a time with all 4 of them, just so that you know they're all in and they're in the right position, like so. And once you're happy, you just want to go from all 4 corners and just gradually tighten them up. So once you're happy all 4 of those are tight, you can just return the final screw at the top there, and that's job done. Okay, so what I am going to do next is I'm actually going to remove the fan and clean that out properly. So to do that, you need to remove this plate here. So that's just all of these screws here. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, so once you've removed all those screws, this plate should just lift off like so. And now that we've done that, we should just be able to remove the fan connector, which is that one there, just like that. And then unhook it from any hooks that they've got it hooked into. Perfect. And then it's just the two fan screws here and here, so we'll just remove those. And so now you should just be able to pick the fan up and remove it like so. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of dust in there. I'm just going to go and blow that out quick and then I'll rejoin you. Okay, so the fan is now clean. So before we put the fan back, as you can see there's just a little bit of dust build up. So I'm just going to clean that off like so. So we now just want to return the fan back to position like that. And then return the two screws top and bottom. So let's do that. And just hook it into the necessary hooks on the way, and then just guide it into the connector and push down on it. Now at this point, if you needed to replace any of the SATA leads, or you needed to replace the leads going to the hard drive or the CD drive, then you would need to do that while this centerpiece is off. So let's just return this centerpiece because we are done at this stage. Okay, so now that we've done all of that, we are actually going to reassemble this. But just before we do that, just a quick note, obviously speakers are here and we can see screws either side to remove those. We then also have the cable for them going up here. So as you can see, it's just a case of disconnecting it there, unraveling it through all of these loops here and just removing them. The power button is this cable here and it includes the power LED, and that goes all the way back to here. So replacing that should just be as simple as, again, unhooking it and unplugging it. So your Wi-Fi card is there. I imagine you can upgrade that. I may have a look at that myself at some point. That's where it connects there, and as you can see there's two antennas above it. That cable there is also for the front camera if you wanted to replace that. That connector there is the screen, and if I'm being completely honest with the job that is required to actually replace this screen, because I imagine you have to completely disassemble the bezel and you have to completely remove everything to do it, I would question whether it's worth doing or not at all. These aren't very expensive machines. You might be better off just buying another machine rather than going ahead and replacing the screen. But with that, we're now going to reassemble ours. So step one is to reinstall the plate here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I will probably skip through this because it is just a case of reinserting the screws that you removed originally. So I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall this. So once all of those screws are in, we can bring over the back plate. Now, I recommend that you start at this side, hooking it in this end like so, keeping the pressure on with your right hand just here, pulling it down, and you should find it just clicks back into position like so. So once you've done that, you just want to go around all of the edges, pushing it down. Next, you want to bring over your CD drive trim. So you just want to guide it into the holes that it came out of like that, and then just push it and you should find it clicked like that, and it should be firmly in. Next, we want to do these three black screws at the bottom, so let's do that. Okay, so next you want to bring over the base that you removed originally, and you just want to hook those two prongs there into the two holes that you can see there at the top of the opening. So if we just hook it in like so and then push it up, and what you should find is when you let go it stays still, and then that gives you access to all of the screw holes here. So we just want to return all of those screws, so let's do that now. And last but not least, you want to bring over your trim and just bring it round over the top there, get it roughly into position, and then just push it down so it clicks in everywhere. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and check if it still boots. Okay then guys, so it's connected up. So moment of truth, I'll just press the button there. So I can see the lights come on. And we've got, yeah, the BIOS is coming up, perfect. So first of all, as you can see there, memory size 8192, so our 8GB RAM upgrade has worked perfectly. So the next thing we're going to do is just go over to where it says boot options. It's on UEFI, which is absolutely fine. And as you can see here, we've got the boot priority order. So in theory, this SSD that I've put in pretty sure I will have cleared it before I've actually installed it. So I should just be able to go ahead and install Windows directly on it now. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring over my installer pen, and we should be able to get Windows 11 installed to this. So I've got it. Okay, so I've now plugged my USB, as you can see it there on the left, into one of the USB ports. So now that I've done that, we can just go ahead and power the machine on. So as you can see, it's now loading into the installer. So I always tend to use the previous version of setup because it's the one that I'm used to. So if we just go ahead now and go through the setup, so that's absolutely fine. Go to install now. So just go through all of the license agreement exceptions, which is absolutely fine. So we'll just go to customized install just to check that we've got the drive there. And as you can see, drive 0, unallocated space, 465.8 gigabytes, which is the SSD that we installed just a second ago. So I did actually clean it, which is good. It means I don't have to go ahead and wipe the drive. So we can just go ahead and press next on that. And as you can see now, it's just going to go ahead and install Windows 11. So what I'll do, I'll skip until it's done all this because it's going to take a while. And we'll take a look what it's like on Windows 11 running off of an SSD with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Okay guys, so it's been a couple of days now and I've had a chance to fully install Windows, and I've also installed Office and Chrome as well. So what I'll do to start, we'll go ahead and we'll just time the boot up here. So I've set my phone up there so we can just see how long it takes to boot into the operating system. So if I just go ahead and press both here at the same time. So the taskbar appeared there at about 30 seconds. So not as fast as a newer machine, but still less than a minute, which in my book is fast enough. So the first thing you'll notice there is I've set an appropriate wallpaper. The other thing I've done, just because it is a low-grade processor, is I've actually enabled Energy Saver. So for those of you that don't know, Energy Saver doesn't actually reduce the system resources. All it actually does is lower the screen brightness if you turn that setting on. And the other thing it does is it reduces background tasks. So as you can imagine, for a low-grade system like this, reducing the background tasks will actually benefit you, and it'll just make it smoother to use doing the foreground tasks that you as the user will be performing yourself. So to begin with, let's just go ahead and open up Chrome and see how fast that opens. So a little bit of a delay there, but not much. So if we just go over to the website here. So that was nice and quick, that search. If we click on the website, as you can see, loads up very, very quickly. If we just go through some of these pages here. So it's fast enough to use as a browsing computer. But if we come out of that now and we go ahead and go over to Word, and just open that. So again, a little bit of a wait time there, but still fast enough. And if we open the blank document, there we go, we're straight into typing. Okay, so then let's go ahead and open Excel. Again, more of a delay than you would expect on a newer machine, but for something that's 10 years old and is running a Celeron processor, it's more than good enough. If we click the blank workbook there, straight in, no problem. PowerPoint. Again, a little bit of a delay, but we're in. And open the presentation, and there we go. Let's try opening Windows Security. Now personally, I think that's quite quick. And let's go to settings. Again, a little bit of a delay there, slightly more than I would expect, but we just go to system here and we scroll down to about. You can see we've got our 8 gigabytes of RAM there. and it is running Windows 11 Pro and 25H2, which is the latest feature update. So as you can see guys, it is usable, especially as a word processor or as a browser. But if you try and do anything remotely demanding on this, it's just not going to keep up. Unfortunately, that Celeron processor, despite it being a quad core, it just hasn't got the power behind it to handle a lot of demanding tasks. But to be honest, because the parts that I got were just spares and it didn't really cost me anything to do this, I'm pretty happy with the result, and it saved it from going straight in the bin, to be honest, because it is in really nice condition. I've just got to find somewhere to put it now. But anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.